During my last bout of drug-induced mania, I came to the realization that God will be returning to Earth and at one point will demand some kind of perfect operating system with which to interact with the modern world. So it's become my objective to create that operating system. I'm only kidding, of course. That's already been done before by someone far more capable than me. What I'm going to do is build God's perfect card compiler for his new board game. No, I'm kidding. I'm still pretty sane for the most part. This was not like a psychedelically induced decision. I don't really do that. But why did I drop out of school when I have such good prospects with that messed up my hair in a weird way. Like, I have a lot of potential with a math degree, applied math degree in STEM, and on top of that, I went to college for free, which is a huge advantage, especially in America. I know European schools are a lot cheaper, but in America, going to school for free is, yeah, it's big. I've been hating on school for a while. You've probably seen a couple of videos where I talk about how career-oriented everything has become, how bloated and meaningless a lot of classes are and majors are, and how useless everything is, and how much it was slowing me down. But that's kind of just one side of the coin. There's a lot more to it than that, because school does have a lot of good. Like, you can learn a lot from school. It's more now, I think, than ever that you have to do that on your own. It gives you kind of a loose structure, and then you can put a bunch of your own work into it. If you just kind of do the bare minimum and complete the assignments, you won't get that good of an education. You'll get kind of an average education. But I've done some pretty cool things at the University of Vermont. Like, I set up many independent studies to do the things I was interested in advanced programming class, which was like, I don't know, yeah, I guess most colleges have an equivalent advanced programming in a low-level language. We did C++. My friend and I went way over the top on OpenGL and did like much more than anyone else in our classes did. And same thing I've done for, I don't know, other classes I've gone above and beyond. You can totally pour time into school and make it something great. The problem is there's a lot of stuff you have to sift through, a lot of shit and useless, like time-wasting, time-sinking stuff that you have to sift through. Not to mention, everything is egregiously expensive. I don't pay any tuition, and it's still like so many random fees that they just sneak in to get under that, and there's so many extra clauses and stuff. You're being charged an outrageous amount. And I was sitting in a class, an English class, that was just such a complete waste of time. Like, I read a whole lot. I'm not just like a stem cell who's dismissing the liberal arts. I have a whole video on that too. I actually love the liberal arts. But this class was just such an utter waste of my time, and I was thinking, I'm putting so much cool effort into working on my board game. I'm learning so much about this really cool language and board game design, and I'm making interesting videos about it that at least a few thousand people seem to kind of enjoy and get a kick out of, so I'm changing something in the world. Why am I wasting like a good chunk of my day just doing this kind of meaningless sitting here and just listening to this person yap about just something that's I don't care at all about, is not really, I already know it. I'm paying so much more in time than in money. It's like the opportunity cost is massive. And there are many, many classes that have been like that, and it took me a long time to finally accept that maybe it's okay to just, if I actually realize that that's not what I want to do in my life, just go off the beaten path a little bit and ignore it. And just actually, like, all those classes you sit through and you're like, God, this is so dumb. This is such a waste of time. Like, would it actually be that damaging for you to leave that situation? But yes, there's a lot more to it, right? There are a lot of valuable classes, and like a degree is essential for getting hired, a lot of people would argue. So the first thing is like the classes. Like the math classes I was taking, real analysis, differential equations, numerical analysis were kind of the big math ones. And leaving those is a little bit more painful. But on the other hand, I didn't so much want to do them at the moment. I really enjoy all those math classes, and I enjoy, a moment that struck me as I was working on something. I think it was a video that I was really enjoying producing, or maybe it was working on my like 3D audio visualizer with ray marching fractals. And I had like a big old differential equations assignment that was just like 2 hours of doing problems. And I just thought, like, I would rather not be doing this. I'd rather work on my own thing right now. I would rather not have to deal with, it's a great thing to learn differential equations. Those are real classes. Those are real, like, difficult skills I'm having to push myself through and learn some very meaningful stuff. But it just wasn't what I wanted to do. Like, think about it analogously to programming something you don't want to program. You know, maybe you're really into one field and someone makes you go do a bunch of data analytics and you're like, God, this is good for me. I'm learning, but I really hate data analytics. So it's, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. And same thing for the other homework. I was just like, I enjoy it in one way. It's like, it is what I want to do, but it's also not what I want to do. I guess I should disclaim that I'm not permanently dropped out of school. I have the ability to resume at the University of Vermont, and I'm like halfway through my sophomore year. I'm like a semester ahead in terms of credits, because in America we have like advanced placement classes in high school that can give you college credit, and I took like the computer science exams just without the classes, so that gave me kind of a semester, and I took a few others, but I don't know. That's getting into nitty-gritty, boring details. What you really want to know is like the big picture, other stuff, like what's the financial repercussions of this? What are the career prospects? So I've been getting like a good amount of offers from companies. So the company I was working at over the summer, Direct Supply, I was an intern at, and like a few weeks ago, I don't know, they offered me a full-time position for like a very respectable amount of money. You know, for someone who was 20, I guess there's nothing stopping me from, they were offering me like $100K starting salary and like $250,000 in stock to vest over 2 years, which for someone at my age, that's like incredible, you know, that's a huge amount of money. And then there were other companies just offering me positions too, like bigger companies like that. And then several people at startups interested in working with me. And I thought, I just am learning so much more practical programming from doing this stuff than I am actually learning any practical programming in school. But my parents were kind of, my mom more so, skeptical about like, oh, you'll face a lot of problems getting a degree, or you'll face a lot of problems applying to stuff without your degree. You know, that's kind of a checkbox they filter by a lot of the time. It kind of bars certain positions. And there's definitely something to that for sure. But tech is a little bit different than other fields. As many of you know, like a lot of developers can just, without a degree, because they're really good at something, walk into a job. That's not a full guarantee, but I've definitely seen it happen. I've seen it happen to myself multiple times, and I've heard other people get hired multiple times. It's definitely not an insanely unlikely thing to happen, because this is such a like field just built on skill rather than built on the whole culture of like tech and startups and all that stuff is like kind of looking away a little bit from traditional wisdom. Like, oh, that guy didn't complete the traditional path, we're gonna go off the beaten path and try something new. So that's a little bit my thinking there. But there's a lot of other arguments as to why you should stay in college. I mean, learning stuff, if you're going objectively to learn, you're gonna probably learn a lot about programming and technology at a tech job, but probably not as much about the liberal arts, and you won't have as many experiences with people your age, you know, the classic college experience. The reason those two things are not an issue for me is because I still live in the same city as my college. I'm still friends with all the same people. I can still do sports teams, especially my main sport, which is competitive cross-country skiing, is actually not through the school. It's just like through an independent organization, so I can still hang out with all those people, which is pretty awesome. I still see all my friends. So that part I felt like I did not lose. And the other part, which is like the liberal arts and the well-roundedness, there are some great classes that I might not have otherwise taken, but like I said in another video, a lot of them are kind of hidden behind like 4 prereqs of just bullshit classes. And I'm also not like a full, I would not consider myself an expert in any of those liberal arts fields, any English or literature or whatever. I'm not fully there yet in terms of being well-rounded, but I do read enough on my own. Like, compared to a lot of, it's bad to compare yourself to people. Comparison is the thief of joy, but yeah, I feel like I read a solid amount, even sometimes more than I've found full-on liberal arts majors. And I don't know, I like to think about the world, so I'm not too worried about missing out there. But I may return one day and just fully dive into ancient Greek or something, I don't know. Another thing that kind of bothers me with those well-rounded arguments, like, oh, but you're missing out, you're not gonna be a well-rounded person. Those people love to say that and then love to not take calculus or programming or EE or biochem, you know, they love to tell you you're not well-rounded and then shy away from the analytical fields like it's nobody's business. And that's kind of hypocritical for someone with so much critical thinking, or so much like reasoning ability that you've supposedly derived from philosophy and literature, you've got a pretty big hole in your logic there. So some food for thought for anyone who's telling me I'm not well-rounded. Yeah, I have a whole nother video. Well, I was gonna make it 2, but actually that's a cash grab, and I don't care. I'm more here to just tell the people that are really invested in this little journey of mine and have similar journeys. So I'm not gonna make this 2 videos. The other component is I was offered that pretty large amount of money, at least for my age, and it would be nice to do stuff with that. You know, I could support my family or whatever. I'm not a super material guy though. I don't need like a ton of money. I can survive off. I worked as a baker for a long time in a grocery store too. That's why instead of accepting that offer, which some people might think is a no-brainer, or another offer, there was one from like which I'm not particularly interested in as a company. Instead of accepting those, I chose to go to a startup, and that's because I liked the attitude. The guy who got me to this startup was a guy who I consulted with through this channel about my board game and gave me some amazing suggestions about how to move forward with the rules development of it. The culture there of just having a company that's like 4 people and I'm a much bigger part of the technical process, and I have much more freedom, and there's much less corporate bureaucracy and JIRA and all this moving stuff around and like meetings and not really doing. It's kind of real, it's kind of not. I was learning at my other job, but I'll learn, I hope, at a much faster rate at this company. Even though I'm potentially taking a loss in payment, I don't need that payment right now to, like, I'm not gonna go buy a Lamborghini or anything. Like, all I need to do is pay rent and groceries, and like the enjoyment I get in life would not at all be increased if I had some luxury car or something. Like the most enjoyment I'm getting is just posting videos and seeing like people's reactions when it's something that they've kind of experienced in the same way too. So I have this job. It's more of an internship than a job. Rather than that full job offer, I declined. But I don't care about like any arbitrary titles. It's just so I can invest in myself as much as possible rather than just invest in a retirement account. I just want to invest in my abilities as much as possible and have more responsibility and be pushed to do more things so that one day, I don't know, I'll stay with this company for probably a while as they teach me stuff, this startup, but eventually I want my own startup, and just being part of such a small startup and having more responsibility, I think will give me a lot of those skills, more so than being at a big company that would pay more. So yeah, that's where I am with that, and I can tread water pretty much indefinitely and just keep doing there, because all I need is an environment where I can learn stuff. And now that my other corporate job is out of the way and school is out of the way, I have this and that, and I can just pour all my time into learning. Another thing that is a little bit worrying for some people is, especially like in the ADHD kind of and hyper productivity crowd, like now that you have no structure, now that you have no school, whatever, aren't you worried that you'll just fall into like bad habits and get nothing done? Which is, I mean, there's definitely a real danger to that. It's not to be dismissed. I think it would be kind of hubris. Well, that's kind of like tempting the gods, but I don't know. It would be kind of, I can't think of the word at the moment. It would be just kind of prideful and kind of rejecting any criticism to this, to just say, no, that won't happen. I'll only get work done. Which is why I still have the option open, you know, to return to school, return to the structure within a semester or a year or 2 years if I want to. But if things go really well and I don't really see a reason to, I also have that open avenue. I've also just felt recently, more than ever in my life, that like I have the productivity systems more down than I did ever before. Like the start of school, another reason that kind of prompted me to drop out was I was just getting schoolwork done in a way I had never done before. I was like, for the first 3 weeks, I was just doing everything perfectly, like right as it came out. I was so ahead on understanding in all of my classes, and I started to think, wow, I'm really like doing well at this stuff finally. Why is it this stuff that I want to, like if I'm able to do well in anything, I want to put that effort into something with a higher ceiling of potential. For instance, this channel has, I mean, it seems like it has a higher potential just because it can connect me to a lot of similar people and similar experiences. And it's given me, like, all of my job opportunities have come from this, you know, like more stuff like that could go down. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I want a better job to pull me away from this one startup, because I honestly don't really care about the money, and the environment is much more important. I just want to learn as much as I can. but some other opportunity, not a job, some project or some person that's like, hey, come give a talk at whatever our company or whatever like institution about, I don't know. I don't feel all that qualified to do something like that. I'm not like a full library expert or anything, but yeah, I've seen people in similar positions be asked to do stuff like that, and that would be just cool. I can also now travel around because this is remote, and I can visit people and maybe do like a European couch surfing tour. Although, yeah, based on some of the stream comments I get, that might be a little risky for me, but I do know people there. I know some people I could use as nodes in a directed graph that I could run A-star Dijkstra's algorithm on, if that makes sense. And yeah, I guess to wrap up is, well, not to wrap up, but another point is the hiring process, getting jobs with a degree. And people always kind of, I think my experience of the job market, and I hate to make a big claim like this because I have very limited experience and there's so many scenarios out there and it's so complicated. But what I'm seeing kind of is so many people putting too much effort into their online presence and taking all these boxes to kind of fill an algorithmic hiring process. So what I mean by that is, like, get your degree, right? That's a checkbox. Know these languages. I put them all in my resume. Have a portfolio website. Show I know React and this, and put these keywords, good communicator, and all this stuff, and have them maxed out 500 plus LinkedIn connections, and here's my GitHub, and all this stuff. Whether you're playing that game well or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just people kind of doing that and then submitting their applications online to tons of companies. And I tried to do that for a while too. It was like submitting just tons and tons of applications to, all these different companies. And it doesn't work anymore because there's so many other people doing that. There's so much AI, there's so much algorithmic filtering. Why would I ever, if I don't have a degree, go through that process at a slight disadvantage over anyone else? It doesn't make sense. The way I've gotten all of my jobs has been through human networking. Like 3 of them have been through this channel, I would say, but the other ones have been just at my university. I went and talked to people, or I was good friends with professors that recommended me and said, hey, you're like my best student. I don't want to say that. They're different, whatever. Maybe I was, all right. I was trying not to be egotistical, but I made a 3D rendering engine and nobody else did that. And so they were like, yeah, you should go, here's a project with the Chilean government. They are looking for a programmer. And yeah, it was a personal connection. It's just like people kind of put too much faith in this automatic LinkedIn, Indeed, job spamming, resume spamming online pipeline to get a job, and not enough on get to know, like, just make a lot of friends, and maybe one of them has some company and knows some other people or something. Just network in real life. Don't avoid, like, just get past all of that keyword spamming. Here's our expectations for you. Just get outside of it, make your own expectations. If someone sees me and like talks to me for 5 minutes, they'll realize I'm not like I'm not a college dropout because I was smoking and drinking and just doing degenerate things all the time. And I have real skills and I can still like talk to people in a normal way. They're not gonna really care as long as I'm getting the job done in the same way that a college graduate is. It's like such an arbitrary checkbox, I have a degree, don't have a degree. And it has some prediction. I think on average for most people, having a degree will make you more hireable. And that's why there's so much like desire for it. It's like, oh, you want to be part of the better group statistically, because it's unusual that a character like me or you drops out and then makes it better than someone who took their full degree and then went into some job. And someone who makes it better because they have their own skills that make them more profitable in tech. It's like a little bit against the grain, so there's a lot of doubt towards it, but it's totally possible. I've talked to like everyone I know and heard all of the arguments for all the sides, but still, maybe there's someone who has an argument I haven't heard yet or has a similar experience. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, that's the plan currently. I'm just trying to work at a company, make not a ton of money, just enough to stay living, paying my rent, eating food, and just learn as much as I possibly can. Keep trying out the channel, keep trying out board games. Well, this specific board game, I don't try many different board games. but maybe I should for development purposes. I don't know. Anyway, point is, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, exploring things this way, because I feel like it's gotten me a lot more. And yeah, it kind of looks like from a macro experience, oh, this guy's just had a little bit of internet success and then dropped out to pursue it. Not at all. This is not my main income stream, and I don't even need a big income stream to be happy. This environment currently is teaching me a lot more than school was teaching me, and that's why I'm sticking in it. And it's sustainable. I can live like this. It's not about making it big. It's not about making it bigger than anyone else. It's not about Mark Zuckerberging. It's just about a slight shift, and it's stable for now. I can always go back to school. So that's my thoughts on it, and I'll catch you next time.